Numbers in the weather today. You might want to have a jacket handy. A little bit of a chance for rain today after a dry few days, Lisa.
Yeah, I'd say at least a light extra layer. We'll see some rain pop up this afternoon. It is a little on the cool side this morning. Low to mid 60s this afternoon. We're going to be by later on today. A good 10, 12 degrees cooler than what we saw yesterday. Low to mid 70s by 11. We're going to hit highs right around 80 degrees this afternoon. Denver 80, Erie 81, Boulder 77, and 60s for the mountains today. Out west, we're already seeing some of that rain, and it's going to gradually start to move a little closer to Denver here by early afternoon. So expect to see some wet roads for the evening commute, a little thunder and lightning too within a few of these storms. Today and tomorrow, Futurecast is going to be pretty active, and then it does get drier and warmer for the weekend. We'll take a closer look at that on the Super 7 Day coming up.
We have a couple of new problems in Aurora, including a crash at Abilene and Alameda, and one over at Tower Road and Iliff. This is over in Ouray, and you can see it's a pretty wet drive in some places for us down on 550 all the way up to Ridgeway and down into Telluride. Saw some low clouds out there, so traffic's obviously moving along just fine in downtown Ouray right now. Take a look at the drive that we have here in Metro Denver out there to the east side of town. There are a couple of those trouble spots on Alameda over here at Tower Road and Iliff, and you can see the 225 drive is fairly busy for us here this morning. Also one on Parker Road south of Quincy. We are basically recovered after that earlier rollover crash between on C470 between Kipling and Wadsworth. You'll still see some activity there on the side as they're continuing to clean that up. But the rest of the drive looks just fine, just heavy in those usual spots.
Right now we are taking a live look from London at the procession underway. Queen Elizabeth's coffin is being moved from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Hall. This procession going for about 30 minutes so far. Her four children, King Charles, Princess Anne, and Princes Edward and Andrew, are walking along with her grandchildren, Princes William and Harry. There will be a service once they arrive at Westminster. The Queen will then lie in state there until Monday, the day of her funeral. It has been a solemn morning, but of course we are already planning for the reign of King Charles III, and he will inherit a massive fortune. ABC's Ian Pannell has a look.
With the crown, Charles inherits great responsibility, but also great wealth. King Charles III is in line for a double inheritance, as a son and as a monarch.
There's a lot of debate about whether or not the monarchy is value for money. Monarchists argue that they bring in money through tourism. Republicans argue that that's not really measurable and that there are lots of funds that would find their way into the public purse if we didn't have a monarchy.
The new king now has three main sources of wealth. The sovereign grant, money the UK Treasury gives the Crown to fulfil its royal duties. Last year, the Queen received $57 million. The family's private wealth, the full extent, a closely guarded secret. Then, the Duchy of Lancaster, a private estate of land, property and assets. The monarch receives its annual profits. The Queen received $27 million from it last year. The royals have never revealed the sums of their personal fortunes. The Sunday Times Rich List estimating the Queen's at $426 million.
I cannot help but feel the weight of history.
However big his inheritance, King Charles isn't legally obliged to pay tax on it, unlike everyone else in Britain, who are liable to pay 40% tax.
As king, Charles is exempt from inheritance tax on money he receives from the Queen, even when it comes to personal wealth. And I think at a time like this, when a lot of people are struggling, when you're talking about someone with such wealth, I think that is likely to spark some criticism and some debate.
But today, even the younger royals are getting richer. Prince William, who's now the Prince of Wales, and the Duke of Cornwall will receive money from the Duchy of Cornwall. It's one of the UK's largest real estate portfolios, worth more than $1 billion. Last year, it turned a profit of roughly $25 million. All of that money going to the then Prince Charles at the time, who managed the state for decades. For years, the Duchy has also bankrolled the lifestyle of the next-in-line Windsors, including Prince William and Kate and Harry and Meghan for a time. But there's change of the Royal Guard coming when times are tough for millions in the UK.
Thank you.
The energy crisis and soaring inflation hitting the pockets of British taxpayers. Some taking issue with taxpayer dollars supporting the monarchy and their lifestyle.
It's hard to justify that, especially when so many people are struggling.
They are quite wealthy already, and I don't see why they need my taxes.
Charles may have been waiting in the wings longer than any other monarch, but he hasn't had the same level of scrutiny that he's now about to face. Not just his finances, but every single thing that he says and does. Last night, he was again caught on camera losing his cool, once again proving that filling the void left by the Queen is just going to be tough. Ian Pannell, ABC News in London.
Well, taking a live look at Wall Street this morning, the Dow Jones really trying to rebound after the major sell-off Tuesday. Stocks are up. There you see 0.1%. They're actually going down as we speak. Those gains, they have a long way to go to make up for yesterday's losses, though, which were nearly 4% of the Dow. Of course, this all comes in the wake of an inflation report showing prices are still high. They have not come down yet. The Fed also meets next week and could raise interest rates again.
An Arvada police officer killed in the line of duty will be honored at the end of this week.
There is a memorial service for Officer Dylan Vakoff Friday at 10 a.m. at Flatirons Community Church in Lafayette, and everyone is invited to pay their respects. He was killed responding to a large family disturbance early Sunday morning. He was 27 years old, an Arvada native and an Air Force veteran. You can make a donation to his family through the Colorado Fallen Hero Foundation. We have a link to that through our website, denver7.com.
And now the man accused of killing Officer Vakoff is in jail in Jefferson County. He was transferred overnight because he was first hospitalized from his own injuries in the shooting. Attorney and Denver 7 reporter Jessica Crawford is outside the Jefferson County Justice Complex with what's next in the case against Sonny Almanza.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about today, including the possibility of them setting his bond. So here's a photo of 31-year-old Sonny Thomas Almanza. He's accused of being involved in the exchange of gunfire that ended the life of Officer Vakoff on West 51st Avenue near the intersection with Marshall Street. He faces a slew of charges that goes from possession of a weapon by a previous offender to first-degree murder of a peace officer with extreme indifference. Almanza hasn't been to court yet, but the first time he appears would be called a first advisement. And during the first advisement, there is a short hearing where the judge will talk to Almanza about the charges he's facing and his rights. Defendants are also connected with court-appointed lawyers at that time if they do need one. Plus, the judge sets bond at that time, and here's how bond works in Colorado. Being able to bond out is generally possible here, but if a person is charged with a capital offense and the proof is evident or presumption is great that they did indeed commit that crime, then the defendant could be held without bond. And Almanza is accused of a capital offense here, which is first-degree murder. So there is a chance that if the judge does discuss bond with him today, that he could be denied bond because of the nature of the offense. And in this case, a lot of people really mourning the life of Officer Vakoff. In fact, so many people are expected to attend his memorial that they're preparing for up to 5,000 attendees. Live in Golden, I'm Jessica Crawford, Denver 7.
Thank you, Jessica. New numbers this morning are giving us a better picture of the teacher shortage affecting Colorado and the entire country. It may not be as dire as we thought. In a survey of 900 school superintendents, the vast majority, 78%, said the vacancy rate on their teaching staff was only about 5% or less. Few reported a vacancy rate much higher than that. 1.4% had 20% of their job postings open right now. It's still concerning, though, because of almost 85% of the schools said the biggest problem driving the teacher shortage is not enough applicants. So when I found out a local college just got millions of dollars to help train new teachers, I had some questions. CU Denver has decided to spend $7 million in federal grant money specifically to bring more teachers to our rural communities. The school is partnering with community colleges in rural towns to offer prospective teachers paid internships, stipends, and other supports while they earn their degrees.
Does it solve all the problems of the rural teacher shortage? I wonder, might some of these teachers go through the training and then decide I'm going to move to a district that pays better?
We don't have a lot of data yet, but anecdotally and the stories that we hear, we know that our candidates get hired right back into that district. I'm sure a few of them will leave. We want everyone to have options, but the deep roots that most of our candidates have in the district really keeps them there. They're generations of family there.
CU Denver's program will also focus on recruiting multilingual students and first-generation college students to become teachers.
No matter how hard you try to protect your kids, you never know what's going to happen.
A Denver mother is sharing her son's survival story after he was shot near his high school, who he's thanking for saving his life.
And mandatory punishment for shoplifting, why Aurora says it has to throw the book at these thieves.